I used to be one of the top players on an elite hockey team that was the pride of our small Scandinavian town. As a star in the hockey world, I often received invitations to all kinds of events. One such invite led me to model in a fashion show, much to my delight. In the grand finale of the show, I was paired with a stunning blonde girl, and we were cast as the bride and groom. That beautiful girl was Anna Langren, and I, David Erickson, had an absolute blast with her at the after-show party. So much so that I found her in my bed the next morning, and from that point onward we continued to share that bed every night. It was a great time for both Anna and me. We were frequently invited to exciting events and parties, and Anna thoroughly enjoyed all the attention. But when we decided to get married, a complication arose. I had a nice house, a decent sum of money, shares in several successful companies, and an expensive car. Anna, on the other hand, had only her clothes and a massive collection of shoes. After several disagreements, I managed to get her to sign an agreement stating that whatever property we each owned before the wedding would remain ours individually. Anna finally agreed, as the reason behind our big wedding was supposed to be a lifelong commitment built on true love, not a lucrative divorce. For a while, we had a good marriage. But a few weeks ago, things started to change. Anna began avoiding intimacy on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights, always giving strange excuses. At first, I didn't think much of it, but eventually, I asked her if something was wrong. She denied everything. Then came a particularly bad day. Everything had gone wrong the day before. Anna had once again rejected me, and even the weather was dreadful. Cold, windy, and rainy. My mood wasn't great. After a tedious, flavorless lunch with a grouchy coworker, I realized I'd forgotten some important work notes at home. So, I had no choice but to go back and retrieve them. When I got home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It took me a moment, but I noticed that Anna had already brought in the mail from the mailbox and placed it on the kitchen table, as she typically did after returning home from work around 3 p.m. The mail was still slightly damp from the rain, indicating she'd been home just before me. Since Anna had never come home during work hours before, and given our rocky relationship, I became suspicious. Could she have rejected me the previous night because she'd been with someone else during her lunch break? I inspected our bedroom, but everything looked exactly as I'd left it that morning. A quick glance into the spare bedroom, however, left me stunned. A gold-plated lighter lay on the brown carpet under the bed. Neither Anna nor I smoked so clearly. A smoker had been in that room not long before I arrived. Now, I had a strong suspicion. I decided to leave the lighter where I'd found it to see if it would disappear later. If Anna had hosted a female guest, the lighter would likely be in her purse, with no reason for her to take it out. But if the lighter belonged to a man, it probably fell from his pocket while something more intimate was happening in the spare room. That evening, everything proceeded as usual. Anna and I didn't bring up being home during the day, and she watched her regular TV shows while I acted like I had work to finish. When Anna went to bed ahead of me, already asleep by the time I joined her, I decided to investigate further. Instead of going straight to bed, I slipped into the kitchen and checked her purse, where, sure enough, I found the lighter. There was no doubt now. Anna was involved with someone else, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. The next night, the lighter had disappeared from her bag. A few weeks later, a folder arrived in the mailbox containing emails from a locksmith and an alarm store. I was intrigued by a small alarm system with a camera, cleverly disguised as a smoke detector. It came with a prepaid cell phone card and could send both alarm messages and pictures to a mobile phone. The next day, I purchased one, along with 2 smoke detectors that were almost identical in size. Installation was easy, as everything was battery-operated. That Saturday, while Anna was running errands for her parents and the kids were outside, I tested the system. It worked better than I had hoped. When Anna came back, I casually mentioned that we had been discussing smoke detectors at work, and it was clear that we needed more for safety. She didn't think much of it. I programmed the alarms to be active Monday through Friday, starting when I left the house and deactivating just before the kids got home from school. For the first couple of days, everything seemed fine. But then, on Wednesday, things took a turn. A few minutes past noon, the alarm went off. The tiny pictures sent to my phone showed Anna and a man kissing in our hallway. The worst-case scenario was unfolding right in front of me, and the only option I had was to act immediately. If Anna and this man were in the spare room, I hoped they were still in the act when I arrived home. Grabbing my camera for evidence, I sped home as fast as I could. Took about 10 minutes and I parked the car outside, out of view from the spare room's window. As quietly as I could, I crept into the house. The kitchen and living room were silent, but as I approached the spare room, I could hear faint noises coming from inside. My camera was set to automatic mode, taking 9 pictures with every click of the button. I braced myself for the worst, swung open the door, and stepped into the room. My worst fears were confirmed. Anna, still in her blue top, lay on her back, legs spread wide. A man in a bright yellow t-shirt loomed over her, creating the unmistakable image of a Ukrainian flag. My sudden entrance shocked them both. I snapped another set of photos, tucked the camera into my pocket, and walked toward the bed. In one swift motion, I landed several hard punches on the man's face. The blows seemed to bring him to his senses, and he made no effort to resist as I dragged him off my screaming wife. I managed to haul him to the door and throw him out of the house without too much struggle, likely because I hit him a few more times along the way. Back in the spare room, my now loudly sobbing wife hurriedly pulled on her black lace panties and yanked up her pants. I told her scantily clad lover to get out and clean up the trash I had thrown out, demanding he leave my property immediately. Meanwhile, my tearful wife tried to spout the usual nonsense in such situations. "I'm sorry, I don't even know how this happened. I didn't mean to do it. I promise this was the first and last time I'll ever make such a stupid mistake. Please, forgive me." I picked up her lover's pants from the floor, slipped my hand into the right pocket, pulled out a gold-plated lighter, and held it out to her, saying, "Don't lie to me. You know exactly what's going on. This isn't some one-time mistake. This happens every week in this room." When Anna saw the lighter, she instantly realized I had noticed it a week ago, and it hit her why I'd found it under the bed. She screamed, "Oh my God!" Her lover, Richard Gillen-Dole, was one of her coworkers. I'd actually met him and his gorgeous wife at a dinner hosted by Anna's boss. A glance at Richard's driver's license, which I found in his wallet, confirmed everything. It even showed he was 8 years younger than Anna. After that, I told Anna to take Richard's clothes out to him. She did so, and within a few minutes they drove off in her car. I called work and informed them that I wouldn't be in for the rest of the day, as well as the following one. My marriage had just collapsed, and there was no way I was going to let that cheating scumbag Richard live happily with his wife. I had to act fast. Though I was sorely tempted to sit down in my favorite chair with a bottle of Jack Daniel's Rockstar whiskey, a prize from a work raffle, I decided to take care of what needed to be done first and leave my grief for later. The first task was to upload the photos from my camera. While most of them were just okay when viewed on the camera screen, one of the last shots was particularly striking on my computer. It showed both of their faces in perfect clarity, an utterly humiliating picture for both Anna and Richard. Next, I called the bank where Richard's wife worked. When she answered, I simply told her the truth, that her husband and Anna had been engaging in affairs in my spare room. She gave me her email address, and I promptly sent her the photo. Then, I searched the house for the list of phone numbers and email addresses that Anna kept for her coworkers. Once I found it in one of her drawers, I sent the same incriminating picture to 10 key individuals in their office. About 10 minutes later, the first call came in. It was Richard, screaming, "What the hell are you doing? You idiot? You'll regret this." I calmly replied, "What the hell were you doing? You made a mistake, and now you've got to face the consequences." He yelled back, "I'm going to sue you," to which I responded, "Stop whining. You wanted Anna, you got her, and now she's yours. Forever." The next call was from Anna, crying, "How can you be so cruel to me?" My response was brief. "Cruel? Don't you think it was cruel to humiliate me by cheating on me in my own home?" She hung up after that. Sure, sending those photos to people wasn't pleasant, but I didn't regret it. I had no other choice to salvage my reputation. I had worked hard to become a respected star on our hockey team, known for staying on the straight and narrow, no matter how rough the competition. Even though I hadn't played in years, I was still admired by our fans and younger players, seen as a role model. If I'd let some guy sleep with my beautiful wife without seeking justice, my reputation would have plummeted. From an admired sportsman to a pitiful joke. That wasn't my way of handling things. The issue wasn't whether I'd been too harsh on Anna and Richard. The real question was whether my actions were harsh enough for the public to consider them justifiable revenge. Although the picture of them in the act had only been sent to 11 people, I was certain that, soon enough, the entire town would know. Not long after, a third call came. It was Anna's mother. She told me Anna was staying at her house, as she was an emotional wreck. It would be up to me to take care of the kids for the time being. Afterward, she started blaming me for what I had done to Anna. I assured her I would look after the children, though nobody could be certain I was actually their biological father. As for Anna, I told her mother to ask her daughter why things had come to this. Of course, my mother-in-law had never been fond of me, and this conversation wasn't likely to improve her opinion. Later that evening, I received a fourth call, this time from Marie Gillendahl, Richard's wife. She asked me what my plans were and if I had any more pictures. I assured her I'd send all 18 photos and let her know I intended to file for divorce. Cheating on me wasn't something that could be brushed off as a one-time thing. Marie said Richard had confessed that his affair with Anna had lasted 5 weeks, and they'd had sex in my house 7 times. Marie saw no way to avoid divorce in her own marriage either. Shortly after Marie's call, the doorbell rang. It was Anna's mother, standing on my doorstep. I let her in, and she told me Anna would be staying with her for a week so that I could calm down. I told her I was perfectly calm and that I would be filing for divorce the next day, as I now knew for certain that Anna had been sleeping with Richard in my house for at least 5 weeks, if not longer. When I showed her the photo of Anna and Richard naked, she turned pale and stopped criticizing me. Epilogue * for the next 3 months, Anna slept in the spare room, what I had come to call the sex chamber, until she and Richard found an apartment to rent together. As expected, they became the laughingstock of the town for a while, but scandals always fade, only to be replaced by new ones. Although Anna still gets attention from tipsy men who suggest she needs someone better and bigger than Richard, I've moved on in my own way. I'm building a new house in a Lakeview neighborhood and plan to sell this old one for a nice profit. Despite Anna's behavior, she's still a good mother, so we share custody of the kids. A DNA test confirmed that I am indeed their father. As for me, I remain single and still miss Anna deeply, so I haven't made any serious attempts to find someone new. But one thing is clear, I will never take Anna back, no matter what. Though she's confided to her best friend that her affair with Richard was a massive mistake she regrets, and that living with him is a miserable existence compared to the life we had as a married family, the damage is done.